Happy Thursday, and thank you for clicking on today's video. As I've said many times on the internet, liking horror movies, disturbing movies, thriller movies is like sorting through a gigantic, unknowable pile of garbage, and it's extremely hard to find one that is not only good, but that isn't like infuriating to watch. I feel like a lot of thrillers and horror movies, they've realized people will watch regardless, which they're right, like I'm gonna watch it regardless. And that's also why I like to make videos about movies online, is like I want to give people good things to watch, and it's really fun and nice for me when I can recommend movies that I feel like I wouldn't have known about if I were just like scouring the internet. So I was able to watch a really great horror movie slash thriller movie, and it's called Crumb Catcher. And if I explain too much about the premise, it's going to ruin it, and I really don't want to ruin it. So essentially, this is a home invasion sort of thriller with like a villain like I've never seen before. A newlywed couple is held captive in this beautiful house, and some very strange things happen that I genuinely couldn't do justice describing if I tried. But a few days ago, I got to sit down with the director and ask him some questions, which is like totally insane and really fun. So I'm recommending you this movie. You should definitely go see it. It's available on demand. You can watch this interview beforehand because there are no spoilers in it. I hope you enjoy like a little bit of a closer look on what it's like to make a horror movie. I know, at least myself, I am so far removed from that process. I just know everything there is about watching them. So enjoy. And thank you all for liking my silly videos so I can do really cool stuff like this.
Hey, how are you?
So nice to meet you.
Yeah, you too.
And congratulations, like, on making something so great. Seriously.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. Thanks for that.
Um, I'm just gonna start asking questions.
Sure. Yeah, go ahead.
Um, First of all, I wasn't going to do the interview if I didn't really enjoy the film. So I was so happy to have liked it so much. And
Uh-huh.
it was so original and it was so entertaining. And I guess I'm wondering, what were your influences? And were you trying to use your influences, or were you trying to depart completely from them? Because I just found it so original. Like, especially, I watch a lot of horror movies.
I don't I try not to think about what movie I'm trying to copy.
Yeah,
Sure, I feel like when I was making this, I was watching a lot of 90s thrillers
for sure.
at the time, and I wasn't like I feel like I just wanted them to be in my blood, but I wasn't necessarily like pointing to any things I was trying to do. But I think that like certain things come out without me knowing what they are necessarily. Um, but I think one of the bigger ones was Cape Fear, that Scorsese version. Just the kind of like energy of it, I think, is what I was thinking about. And I feel like forever I'll be influenced by Punch Drunk Love in its sort of it just has so much pizzazz to it and love, and I feel like that would be maybe what it is. And just more than anything, it's just like dreams.
Mhm.
Like how dreams work and how they're just sort of they don't like they make sense when you're in them, and then when you step out, you're like, wait, what just happened? Like this sort of like follows a certain thread. But yeah, that would be probably.
Exactly how I felt watching it. That's like crazy you said that. I'm like, this is very much dream logic. Is very cool.
Yeah.
What was the hardest part about making this?
Hmm. Actually, just time, really. It's you're given a certain amount of time to make it, and then that just didn't end up being a reality. Like I finished half the movie in the time that was given to me, and then I just like started raising more money, and then
Mm,
I did it in shoots. So it was sort of like carrying along the crew and carrying along the excitement for the film within the community that made it was difficult, but also it just was part of the mission of it. And I think when you're making a movie in these chunks like this, not on purpose, but just because that's a necessity, it really kind of forces you to basically, like when I was editing it, I never had like a rough edit. It was always like fine cut, and I think that's because every shoot I was like um, a little bit fighting for my life. Like it had to be good or I wasn't going to get more money. So in a way, it kind of like put me in I just had to double down on like getting it exactly as I thought it was supposed to be. Um, yeah.
That's really hard to do.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I also like, I feel like one thing that this movie taught me, and like just to talk about influences, like I feel like um when someone asks you a question, you have like you have this like feeling in your stomach immediately the answer. And I
Mhm.
think a lot of times your brain gets in the way of your thoughts, kind of, and or like your instincts. And I think like this sort of like taught me to really only care about what that instinct is, or like not question where the instinct was, you know?
That's like a crazy skill to learn. I don't think a lot of people even think about that. So, like,
Yeah, I mean, it's like I feel like people are always like, oh, what is this person going to think? Or are they going to be insulted if I say this or if it's that? But I think for me, I'm like, I think of creativity kind of like an antenna, like you're sort of tapping into something that's not you. And I think like if your first impulse is like always very close to what it should be, and it takes a long time to get it better.
yeah,
But I think just like really trusting yourself, I think is a real big thing.
that's awesome. Yeah, I agree. Like, I'm like a little bit of I'm not a director or anything, but I'm like a illustrator and a graphic designer and stuff. And I was also wondering when you were choosing to make this story, was it the one you were like the most excited about, or the one you had like the most solid story for that you needed to get out? Like, because if I had to pick a project to make, that was like the one project I had to make, I don't know how I would choose to do that.
I feel like it's for me, it was just I was committed. I didn't have other scripts. Like this was the
This was
script.
fun.
Yeah, and I just sort of like I think with anything like that, it just has to be like a complete commitment, no
Mhm.
matter what. And I think that's always what it goes back to. I mean, and I'm like writing a new one right now, and I'm in this place where I'm like, is this good? Where am I? What was my thing? And I remember when I've had the first instinct for it, and I always think about what that first instinct was to write the scene and trying to get back to that moment. But I think like making a movie is or writing a script is sort of building up confidence. Um, like every pass is another pass where you feel more confident. So
Yeah.
then when you're like facing the real world, you have this armor,
Mhm.
you know, that you could be like, no, this is what it is. And then obviously like people come in and say things that make you see it in a new way. And I think that's also really great as well.
Yeah, like this is one of those art forms where there's like countless people that are going to watch it and have all these different things you didn't see, which is probably really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I was speaking more on like for instance, like working with the DP,
Mm,
like I would have this whole how the Crumb Catcher scene was supposed to be shot, and he was like, we could spend 3 weeks just doing that, like all my setups and how I wanted it to be. And he sort of helped me simplify, which is always good, you know. I also think like one of the things I'm always doing is when I'm writing is I try not to write so much, and I just um will ask friends or just even people who are like not in the film industry at all. Like I actually prefer that if they'll just like sit down and listen to me tell them the story
Yeah.
verbally. And I think a lot of times that really helps, like trying to like I try to imagine like, okay, I just watched the movie and I'm going to tell my friend what this movie is about, you know? And I think that leads to like knowing where the line is broken. You know, like, oh, okay, that to that doesn't make sense because I had to say, oh, well, you got to read it. As soon
Yeah.
as you say you got to read it, you don't know what you're talking about, I think.
Interesting. Like for me, because I'm like just a movie enjoyer, it's like magic that people can make movies, let alone make really great ones. So just
Huh.
like having a little bit of insight on how that works is like crazy. It's
Well, the truth is that I don't really have a lot of insight. It's just like I think it's like it's ultimate belief in that this thing already exists and you're sort of helping it get birthed. Like the baby is in the stomach, you know, it just needs to come out. And like you know, I love this thing that David Lynch says about writing a script, that he's saying like that you're in a room and there's a slit, and like someone on the other side of the wall knows what the movie's going to be, and they just keep throwing you ideas through this slit,
yeah,
and you don't know where this idea goes because he has all the answers, but you're sort of like, okay, maybe that goes there and this is here and that's there, or this, you know. And I do think that I love this idea of thinking of writing something like you're a little bit like a archaeologist, and you're like, oh, okay, that's a bone. That's or no, that's a you know, I don't
yeah.
know what it is. And then you're trying to figure out what this skeleton is that you're pulling out.
There are some scenes in this that are so intense, like it's so crazy. Is it that intense being there, or is there like a level of like, I just feel like if I were there when those scenes were happening, it would be like such an intense experience. When you're doing like horror and thriller movies, like I just can't imagine what it's like to be there. Is it intense for you guys, or is it like there's a level of like, oh, this is a
For
detach-
sure. I mean, we when we shot that scene, you know, when the gun comes out and
yeah.
Shane is being forced and is drinking the thing.
Hmm.
This was in this, we were on top of a mountain. This house was on top of this mountain, and it was, I don't know if you remember, but a couple years ago there were all these videos online of like the subways being flooded in New York.
Yes, yeah.
So it was that summer, and so it was torrential downpour, and I just remember like a lot of the thunder that's in the movie is actually real.
I
um
feel like I could like get that when I was watching it. Like it felt very authentic that way. I'm like, that might be real. Like this felt so real.
yeah, and some of them are fake, but like some of the things that you see outside happen are real thunder.
Hmm.
um and then basically for me that was like I just think that we're made out of water. Like we're on top of a mountain. It's a thunderstorm. It's super intense. Like I just feel like we were absolutely being influenced by this energy of the storm. And also the house had, you know, like one of the most intense scenes in the movie, like the artist who did all the paintings in the house, who built the house and is the architect as well, had died
Oh,
like in the bathroom that we were shooting in. And it was like there was some kind of weird, we all kept kind of joking about how John Hersey Jr. is here with us.
And there was
But
some channeling going on for sure.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
at least to me, yeah. Okay, I think I got a little message. We have to wrap up, but
Yeah.
I want to ask what you're doing next so everyone can know.
It's this movie about a dry cleaner who's transforming his late father's family dry cleaning restaurant or dry cleaning thing into a luxurious tuxedo rental boutique. And
Okay.
he's like getting mixed up with the wrong people. And the whole thing kind of starts when this mysterious customer comes and steals this prized photo of a Jackie Gleason. And the whole world kind of, starts being crazy. And
I
he's like,
love
what the fuck is going on?
it. No, I love it. Yeah. Keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
It's incredible. At least like from a movie enjoyer perspective, I'm in love with it. And thank you for doing this interview with me. It's such an honor.
Oh, thanks so much, Liberty. And thanks for watching.